There's a nest box in your garden. You walk past it every morning, on the way to the compost bin perhaps, or just while you're taking a moment before the day begins. It looks still, quiet, sealed. But inside that box, in complete darkness, something is already happening. 12 small creatures are listening. Not sleeping. Listening. To the wood pigeon on the roof, to the wheelie bin being dragged across the road 2 gardens down, to the sound of your shoes on the gravel. They have never opened their eyes. They have never seen the garden, the hedge, or you. But they already know this place. And some of what they know, they learned from you. Welcome to Garden Bird Secrets. If you're new here, subscribe, because what you're about to learn will change every morning you spend in your garden. In this video, we're going to look at 6 things that science has now confirmed about what blue tit chicks hear, learn, and remember, long before they fledge. We'll talk about the window of time that opens and closes with precise accuracy, about what your voice is doing to them, and about why the birds that eventually leave your nest box may carry something from your garden with them for the rest of their lives. Stay until the end, because the 6th point is the one I think about most. They are listening before they exist outside the shell. Research from the Max Planck Institute for Ornithology, confirmed by subsequent work at the University of Groningen, documented something that changed how ornithologists understood avian development. By day 12 of incubation, 3 to 5 days before hatching, bird embryos have developed functional hearing. They are not merely present inside the egg, they are receiving the world. Specific sounds experienced in this window were shown to influence the chick's acoustic preferences after birth. The auditory environment of the egg is not neutral background, it is formative data. In your garden, this means the week before your nest box goes quiet, just before hatch, is the week that matters most acoustically. Every blue tit call that passes through the wood of that box, every alarm signal, every territorial song from the surrounding hedges is going in. The chick that eventually fledges from your garden already had its first lesson before you ever heard it make a sound. There is a period of time, specific, measurable, and finite, during which the chick can absorb certain kinds of information. After it closes, it does not reopen. The BTO's nest record scheme, tracking blue tit, Cyanistus caeruleus, development, across decades of UK garden data, has helped researchers identify what ornithologists call the sensitive period for vocal learning. In blue tits, this window runs from approximately day 10 to day 18 post-hatch. During those 8 days, the neural pathways associated with sound processing are at their most receptive, capable of encoding patterns they will retain for life. Before day 10, the groundwork is being laid. After day 18, the window narrows sharply. What has been learned is consolidated. What hasn't been learned is, largely, lost. In your garden, this means that if your nest box is active right now, if your chicks are somewhere between 10 and 18 days old, that window is open this week, not next month, this week. The question is what they're hearing while it's open. The chicks inside your nest box are not simply absorbing ambient sound, they are sorting it. Research published by Lambrechts and Daunt, later expanded through work at the University of Exeter, examined how blue tit chicks responded to parental vocalizations compared with calls from unfamiliar adults of the same species. From as early as day 5 post-hatch, chicks demonstrated differential responses. They begged more urgently, opened their gapes wider, and oriented more precisely toward the calls of their own parents than toward acoustically similar calls from other birds. They were not simply responding to bird sound. They were responding to specific bird sound they had already catalogued. Stay with me, because this next part changes everything. In your garden, this means the acoustic sorting system inside that nest box is already running. And if you have spent mornings near the nest box, working in that corner of the garden, speaking quietly as you tend to the beds nearby, your voice is one of the sounds in the catalogue. You may be a stranger to those chicks in every other sense, but you are not a stranger acoustically. You are already a sound they recognize. Not every sound you make near the nest box is benign. Joint research by the RSPB and BTO, building on acoustic ecology work by Slabberkorn and Ripmeister, has documented the physiological effects of environmental noise on developing garden birds. Sustained sound above approximately 65 decibels, the level of a lawnmower at medium distance, or a petrol strimmer, measurably elevates cortisol levels in developing chicks. Elevated cortisol in this developmental window is associated with reduced growth rates, impaired immune function, and long-term changes in the stress response system. The chicks are not merely disturbed, they are altered. In your garden, this means the fortnight after your chicks hatch is the wrong time for power tools near the nest box. It is the wrong time for the delivery lorry to reverse its alarm directly beside the hedge. It is the wrong time, if you can avoid it, for anything that sustains noise above ordinary conversation. The nest box protects them from weather and predators. It does not protect them from sound. Inside the nest box, the chicks are not simply waiting to be fed. They are negotiating. Research by Kilner and Johnstone at the University of Cambridge established that the begging calls of nestlings are not fixed signals. They are calibrated. Chicks adjust the volume, frequency, and urgency of their calls in direct response to what they hear from their siblings. When a sibling calls loudly, the others call louder. When the nest goes quiet, the individual calls soften. The system is dynamic, competitive, and operating continuously. This is the first form of social learning these birds will ever engage in. Before they have opened their eyes, before they have seen another living creature, they are already learning to compete, using sound, against the birds closest to them. In your garden, this means the nest box you put up last February is currently hosting something closer to a negotiation than a nursery. A hierarchy is forming. Advantages are being established and lost hour by hour based on nothing more than which chick produces the most effective sound at the right moment. The birds that leave your nest box have already been tested. They have already competed. They are leaving with a set of skills they practiced before they could see. What the chicks are hearing, they are also filing. As a map. Research from the University of Sheffield, drawing on habitat imprinting studies by Byers and others, has shown that the acoustic environment experienced during early development influences habitat selection in adulthood. Birds raised in environments with a specific mix of species, calls, background sound signatures, and structural acoustics, the particular way sound moves through dense hedge versus open lawn, show a measurable preference for similar environments when they come to choose their own territories. They are not simply remembering the sounds, they are encoding what home sounds like. In your garden, this means the particular acoustic fingerprint of your garden, the species that call from your hedges each morning, the quality of quiet on a still May afternoon, the sounds of your presence, is being encoded right now as the template for what a safe place sounds like. That template does not expire. There's a question that comes up more often than almost any other in the comments on this channel. And it goes something like this. Why did the blue tits come back to my nest box for years? And then, one spring, they didn't? I don't have a simple answer to that. Neither does anyone else. What the BTO's long-term monitoring data can tell us is that blue tit site fidelity, the tendency to return to a previous breeding location, runs at around 30 to 34%. Roughly 1 in 3 birds that fledge from a site will return to the same area to breed. The remaining 2 will not. The reasons are varied, complex, and often impossible to know from outside. But here is something the research from the University of Vienna on great tit individual recognition suggests, and which I think about when I consider the blue tits in a garden that has been carefully tended for years. These birds distinguish individual humans. They respond differently to familiar people than to strangers. The familiar person is not neutral. The familiar person is part of what makes a place recognizable. In your garden, This means that the chick currently sitting in the dark of your nest box, calibrating its begging call, building its acoustic map, hearing the particular sound of your footsteps on the gravel, is laying down information that may shape where it chooses to live as an adult. You cannot make it return. No one can promise you that it will. But you are part of what it will carry when it leaves. The nest box, the garden, the particular quiet of a May morning before anyone else is up. Your voice, heard through wood and darkness on the mornings you didn't know anyone was listening. That is not nothing. Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. These are the stories I carry with me longest. I'll see you in the garden.